I would definitely suggest this build if you want to do something fun. If you have one of these bikes that's laying around and your kid's no longer using it, well, this is the one, especially if it's a steel frame. Oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless. Have fun. Hey guys, it's Matt from Electric All Wheel. We did something a bit different with this bike. One, it's an all Amazon purchase and it's a build. So everything you see here was purchased on Amazon. And I just thought it would be a unique way to go about building one. I also changed it all up with the style of bike that I wanted to use, and we decided to go ahead and pick out this steel frame, and it allowed us to do a few things that really set it apart. Things I wanted to practice, the RivNuts on the battery holder, everything. So we had a comment in one of our previous videos where the guy hated the crappy music, so we wanted to change it up. I'm actually holding a GoPro so I can get up close and personal and show you what I'm talking about as we go through this. Then I'll take you through the 8 videos that we did. We broke these up into TikTok shorts or YouTube shorts and TikToks. 60 seconds was the time frame to keep it in. And so you can watch those. We're going to put them on screen here with us and kind of go through it as I'm talking about some of the parts. The very first thing we did was change the bike seat, and it made a world of difference. This is a kid's bike, or youth as they call it, and what we wanted to do is get a seat on there that would be comfortable for an adult, mainly me, because I'm the one with the addiction to e-bikes. We went from this, which is the stock manufacturer seat, to this, which is the Bikeroo Oversized. Now, it does come with some tools, and that wrench that I actually used in the video, which is a pain in the butt. I don't suggest doing that. I suggest getting your couple crescents or wrenches and then getting that thing installed. Relatively easy. It made up and took the whole time of the first video, and we realized we're going to have to do a lot more sequencing, a lot more speeding up within that video to make it worthwhile. So here we go. On this one, which is the part 2 video, I remember we didn't want to take everything off. We just decided to go ahead and pull the handlebars at the point where we could. So that meant taking the cables out and then getting it set so that we could just remove the stem. And we wanted to change it. We wanted to change the handlebars, these Ebikeling, which are the factories. I left everything on there where I could. And then we moved it to this BMX set with an adapter and riser and then a new stem. One of the things I don't like about all this is the crossover between standard and metric. So look out for that. You can't just grab your metric Allen wrenches and go on from there. I put the screws for the stem adapter on the front side so it's not flush. When you move it, you can actually read the brand. I did like this, and they're forward leaning. I'm 6'2". This was a youth bike, like I said, so I needed to make sure that I had a comfortable feel when I was sitting on the bike. So it helps with the ergonomic grips, and then the BMX bars really gave you a good rise to it. So on this video, what I needed to do was extend the cable housing and sleeve to get it up to the elevation of the new BMX bars. I needed that extension. It is cut halfway through and then runs raw wide open underneath on the frame, and I left it that way and then utilized some of the housing that I had previously. Definitely wanted to get rid of this dadgum thing. I really don't like these twist gear shifts. They rub raw. Sometimes when they stick, it makes it impossible to move, and you don't really know that you're at the end of it. It's an unnatural feel for me. I went with this shift, the trigger thumb shift for the Shimano version. It's pretty plasticky. I wish that I could get something better, but budget-wise it does work and it's functional, and frankly on this bike I find myself using the throttle and just chilling while I ride it. I got to buy a new tool, and when I bought that tool, it turned into an experience of joy because I hadn't had some good cable cutters. These things work like a champ. It's pretty nice. They're the Park Tool version. We'll put a link down in the description. You can check them out. I did all these things inside the house. I really don't like this part of the builds. I'm fascinated by the motors and the batteries and making it run. And so I wanted to just get all of the frame and get everything ready as a regular bike so that we can move on to the electric part and what I really like doing. In this short, we have to sleeve the cables for the brakes. We're doing a lot of work to get the handlebars prepped. I think even in sequence when I put it on, I didn't put the throttle on in between the throttle here, so I had to get it in between the brake handle and the grip, and I needed to make sure that it was there and I had enough distance, and it just barely closes in on it right here. It's a minor nuisance. I like it still. I don't think it's a big problem, but you get right on that shifter and it is right on the curve in the handlebars. But we did it all. We got it all wrapped up. I like to make, I'm one of those zip tie banditos. I do the thing, but I make my loops and then I have a little carrier housing for the cables so they're not slapped against the frame. A big effort in this was, again, getting the housings long enough to get them up to the new brake handles and these e-brake brake handles. So with the new handle, you actually have to take those barrels and insert them into the brake handles and sleeve it, and then you're good to go. I tried a couple different ways here, as you can see if you go back through that video, but either way, it gets the job done. When you do this, you pull back and you can actually see the barrel in there, and the cable is up through there. And so when you slip the barrel down into the holder for the brake handle, then you sleeve it through, and then this thing will turn. You just get them straightened up. I find these to be time-consuming nuisances, so what I would tell you is check out Park Tools videos on YouTube. That's where it's at. I was so glad when we made this video because we finally went outside, and I've been doing a lot of work outside to get a place where I could actually work. It's Florida, it's gonna get hot. I needed to prep for fans and sun, and you can definitely tell the color difference in the videos. The others one look like we filmed them in the hospital, so I apologize for that. We're learning as we go, but here it is. We're pulling out the motor. We had to strip the tire off of the rim that we had previously and then get it onto this hub motor, and I'm not mad about it. I had this thing out riding this morning. It's so awesome. Always make sure that you turn your treads the right way for rotation. Basically it should be diving into the water is the essence of it, so make sure you get that right. It's a pretty quick job, honestly. It doesn't take much. You can change the tire relatively quick. I would suggest getting some of those tire tools where you can get it in there and then remove the bead and then pop it over the rim's edge. I do it all the time with my hands, so that was kind of the essence of actually starting this whole channel is you're the backyard guy. You know, you don't have to have all the tools to get this done, and I just wanted to share that with them, and then we started doing the video editing and it's turned into this whole other world. So please understand that this information is for you, and you can check out how to actually get some of these things done without having to go the full professional route. So on that video, we actually had the bike built. So we started it off, but we're still going through the sequence. And so here's another thing. I took and utilized this aluminum tubing, and when I did it, I needed a spacer to get right in, right there, right? And I needed that thing to hold the dropouts well enough, and it did. So it got, and it's lipped inside off the threads. It was extremely necessary. There was absolute need for it because, as you can see, the power cable comes out, and there is zero tolerance for any more room to be taken up. But it got the job done. I was really happy. There was no flexing on the rear dropouts, and I was able to get those things measured up. I used the washers that were in the bag. Cut this, ordered this on Amazon. We'll put it in a link below. I do wonder about the structural integrity of it because it will be flaring out, but it seems to be holding up. And I put it on there with enough force to make sure that it just held tight and I could feel that it had seated. And then after that, I let it be. There's rotation about the axle, so it should be okay. There aren't many forces coming in laterally into the tubing. It's really important that you have your derailleur limit screws set. There's a lot of space in between this hub, so you want to make sure that this doesn't fall off when you're doing it. I think on the torque arm, I would like or would have preferred to put a strap underneath to protect the frame, but I don't anticipate it ever coming off unless I have to change the tire. I really don't like this. The spacing here and how that comes out bothers me, but please know that a typical installation, you're only out the frame width and the disc would sit right on the hub. We had to get those spacers in there, so it brought it out, and then that made for the tight room to make this work. It does work. I'm happy with how it came out. No major modifications, just a little addition, and then it kept the dropout spacing for the bike, which is really good. You can see that I put the washers in on this one as well. These were existing in the kit, so didn't have to go out and look for anything to buy on this. I'm pretty happy about that. This freewheel is noisy, so just look out for that. I don't like that part of it, and when you're rolling plus 20 miles an hour, it gets to be a little cumbersome, and then you add that to the tire treads and you are buzzing by people and they can hear you coming. All that being said, it's still awesome. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And that cruise control makes it all worthwhile. All right, so on this video, we're wrapping up all the things I hate, right? We're going through and we're doing these handlebars, we're putting on the grips, we're taking it, the dadgum display, the crossbar on the BMX, it wasn't the right diameter, and the spacers that they give you in the kit didn't quite get it done. So if you look in there, you can actually see I took what was left of the crappy handle that came off here and I just cut it up, and I used that round contour to wrap in there and then provide a nice grip. This thing does not move. I got it over, it sits on this side because the cable length here to the buttons was pretty short, and then I wanted to be able to wrap it. And with that, I get a lot of real estate for phones, right? There's a lot of stuff here. I wanted to get a bell. I'm normally a big fan of the integrated bell at the Tektro, where it's got it right there on the e-bike brake handles, but this is an Ebikeling kit, and I haven't gone through the pains of searching down that connector. So I know it's waterproof, but I think it's a 2-pin versus 3-pin, so it's a bit different. We also got to the part where we needed to include the pads and get everything ready to go. On the back side, you can see we have the magnetic disc, and then we have the pad sensor. I did a full-on extension out with the angle. It still works, but you have a wide bottom bracket on a fat tire, so you need to obtain all the space you can get. I have noticed this. I might place some kind of spacer wedge in here, but all in all it works, and it works at each edge of the opening in between the crank and the bottom bracket. I don't have a link for this, but I'll put one on Find for Amazon. But that's a RivNut tool. We got it at Harbor Freight, and it's the first time we actually used it. Got some M6 bolts, and then we use those to put on the battery. Voila. So there they are. And actually, if you see, and you can look, you might be able to see, I drilled into the frame. I made sure they fit. I only put 3. I didn't want to go overboard. And I think I had a situation with the screw, so it works. There's not much of an issue. I did do this with a power drill, and I need to caution you, make sure you center that thing up, because it looks cockeyed once you put the battery on. You want to make sure that it's perfectly center down the line. And this one, you just extend the handles, put on your RivNut, and then when you squeeze it, it compresses in between, so your frame will sit here, and then it'll bring this in and then squeeze around it. It's a pretty nifty contraption. I don't want to waste this. I would show you guys, but it is a crucial piece, and I trust that you get it. There are plenty of videos out there. This was a nice one. I got it from Harbor Freight. It's Doyle brand. I just wanted to get something that would work, and I didn't want to have anything that was cheap. So yeah, it's great. But it's a pretty cool tool. I liked it a lot. I watched a couple of videos on YouTube of people using it. It's one of my favorites now. I've been struggling with the water bottle brackets. Places to mount batteries get pretty unique. And on this size frame for what I wanted, because this is a hefty battery, it's 52 volt, 17.5, I think. I wanted to make sure that I had enough power to never have to pedal if I didn't want to. Finale, oh my gosh. Okay, so we're here. We're at the point where we need to get a good place for the controller. Honestly, I had wired this thing like 3 or 4 times. I killed my zip tie stash trying to see how am I gonna get all of these wires to not look like the crazy-ish show that it was looking. So what I did was I mounted it up. You'll actually notice in one of the videos, I think you can actually see the pre-work with a separate bag, and it was this one, and it looked gross, and I had it from another kit build, but I needed it so I could hold it. And then what I did was utilize that to see what's the best line for all of these cables. Down at the pads, it looks a little busy, but I wanted to make sure and get some really good stability out of the mount. I actually had to cut a little spacer so it would hold, and that's some of that handle that I told you about that I used on the display. So we get it, I wire it up, I undo the Velcro, make sure it runs along the lines. I pulled the main cable down the battery line and then rolled them all through, and then we joined right here at the seat and the crossbar. I wrapped, made sure I zip tied again, pulled them all together, and then this is a handy toolkit that comes with the kit, and then inside you can see the controller, and it just rests in there. It's a waterproof bag. We do have, that would be your only penetration point for that, but this bike, I'm not soaking this bad boy, and we're not going out in the rain, and we're not going to be riding in swamps. That does sound like fun, but it's worth too much to me, and it's so much fun I want to keep it around for a while. On this build, I definitely wanted to make sure that it was a clean look up front. The front brake cable I left outside the cable management system, which was just a cable wrap, a home cable wrap with the woven wrapping, and then I used zip ties on the end of it. It came out pretty nice. I am not disappointed. One thing I might do is look to get an extension, but the cables that were given weren't that long, so I had to run this length down the side. This is the wrap. I'm glad I have it. I'll have it more. What you do is you just put a lighter to the end of this and it cleans up pretty nice. It's plastic. There's pretty good durability in the flex for this thing, so you can see it goes back to form very well. Oh yeah, so I have another video. You'll check it out here. I'll put it on the screen when we do this. This thing has electronic cruise control. Hold the throttle and stay steady, and you press and hold the down button, and then it switches over to C, and then you can let off the thumb throttle, and it still is rolling in control mode 15 miles an hour. It is on the stand, so it's free spinning. But I love it. And then to trip it off, you can either hit the throttle or hit the brakes and utilize the sensors there. So I hit the throttle, and then it's dropping right now. That was one of my favorite features, and I didn't even discover it until after the fact. I bought it because I knew Ebikeling made a good kit, and I just wanted to have that good package because the rest of it was a new venture for me. And I was pleasantly surprised when I started reading that manual. Yes, I do sometimes read manuals. We've been working pretty hard on the channel. We do have the selection guide. We've been making updates to that. This started out as building kit bikes on bikes that previously existed, and the very first one I did was my Specialized roll. And I realized that people needed that information. We were coming into COVID. That's how all this started about. Everybody was just really geeking out about getting an e-bike at that period of time, and they've already got them. And now for us to stay relevant and for it to really be worthwhile to go through all this work, we created the selection guide to help others that want to come into the e-bike world. I know this isn't for everyone. A lot of people don't want to put that kind of effort into building a bike like this, and why do it when you can spend almost the same amount of money? Maybe you give up in quality some aspects that you like, accessories, etc., but you get a name brand bike with a warranty, and it's just easy, right? You buy it and you get it. But there are a ton of bikes out there. So we made the selection guide. We tried to bring together the categories that we knew were most relevant, watched a lot of forums, Facebook groups, just talked to a lot of people, and then we spent a few months pulling it together. It takes a long time to update. We're learning about getting that data. We've learned a lot about HTML. We're learning a lot about e-bikes. I'm pretty much that guy who can tell you exactly what's on the streets when I'm 100 yards away, because I've seen a lot of them. I've ridden a lot of them, and I've never really given the reviews for them, but I like capturing other people's opinions and experiences, and that's what we've done, right? That's why everybody comes to a YouTube channel. You want to hear somebody's opinion or their experience with it. And in that, it's, hey, you don't have to be an expert. Tell me about your life with your e-bike. Why'd you get it? Where you go? What do you do with it? How far have you ridden it? How fast is it? Right? Do you want to race? It's all about the fun, and I like putting out the message and giving anyone that wants the opportunity to ride as much information as I can help provide, and we have done that at Electric All Wheel. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Check out all of our other social medias. Right now it is kind of a mirrored situation where we are pushing the same short videos and utilizing the platforms that are most popular. I know we've got to start divvying it up, but this is extremely time consuming, and we're learning. So give us time and we'll try and get better. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you very much.